Welcome to Pull the Pin Already, a place where average veterans come to share their opinions about the world we live in. We can't guarantee you're going to like our opinions.
But we're going to love giving them to you.
I'm Jim.
And I am Hugh G. Rection.
Good, I'm not going to say that. All right, I'll call you Hugh. All right, Hugh, welcome. Welcome to another War Room episode. We appreciate you. We appreciate all our viewers out there, your comments. They do not go unnoticed. We just don't get time to answer all of them. But we do appreciate it. And Johnny, too. Johnny, I don't know, we've talked about Johnny before. Johnny feeds us a lot of headlines. Sometimes we get to use them. Sometimes they're already outdated by the time we're doing this. But we do appreciate them. So we're going to get into some headlines.
Thanks,
That's
Johnny.
what we do. Yeah. I tell you, I don't know if I don't know which Johnny is, but he sounds like he's legitimately, I think he's in the Navy, too. He was in the Navy.
We love those Navy guys.
All right. Anyways, I forget. Sorry, Johnny. No disrespect. But we're going to talk about some headlines, whether we've read the articles or not, and then we're going to give you our perspective as veterans and why is our perspective important.
Because it's better than everybody else's.
There you go. So let's get into some headlines. We'll tell you how to feel and how to react to all this stuff. All right. Ready for the first one?
You're welcome.
Yes. U.S. gives more than $4.1 billion in grants for LGBT and transgender initiatives worldwide.
Wait, are they Hugh grants? Low-hanging fruit, man. Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. But maybe they're grants. Grant Hefner? No, it's Hugh Hefner.
Yeah. No. They're probably general grants.
Well, what do you know about this stuff, though?
I mean, well, I don't understand what are initiatives, right? I mean,
well, it's anything, right? It's a program, right? It's anything, right?
Well, okay. So if they're saying, hey, we want to, give money for, I don't know. Like, where does this money go? Like, I don't.
It's in somebody's pocket. It's really what it is. It's some stupid program they stand up, But the point I'm getting at is I've heard something recently, and maybe it's a justification. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. But they were saying that this money is really just going to these foreign countries to inject U.S. dollars into their economy. So it stands our dollars up because they're spending the money or our money over there. So in other words, they have to exchange our dollars with somebody else or whatever they do. They're using our dollars in their country. So I don't know how true that is. I don't know if that's the logic of it, but that's what I heard the explanation.
I mean, sure. I mean, the more your currency changes hands, the more it's got, the more value it's got because, value is not just, what your exchange rate is,
right?
On the ticker sign, right? Like there's a perceptual component to that. And, the only thing that's more everywhere you want to be than Visa is, U.S. greenbacks, right? Like, so.
So I guess the point is it doesn't matter what the 4.1 billion is for. I mean, it's going to make certain people feel a certain way because of what they're saying it's for. But what I understand is it's really just about getting money into other people's countries and systems. So they spend it, and use the dollar. I mean, to me, it's wasted money, but.
I mean, couldn't we, inject U.S. dollars into their economy by, I don't know, buying shit?
You'd think, right? Or just giving them money for food.
I mean, if we're gonna inject money into their economy, like, shouldn't we, I don't know, get something out of it? Maybe, I don't know.
Well, you are. You're going to get a bunch of
hookers and blow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, like, let's be real. Like, I know people get mad.
$4.1 billion to Colombia. Thank you.
Right? Can I take on credit? But it's the funny thing is, like I said, this people get mad at the whole LGBT transgender stuff. Like, and I understand why. I mean, I understand how it's kind of insulting in certain ways, but in the end, dude, they're gonna extinction themselves. Like, we're not extinct. You know, they always say, "Oh, you're trying to make us extinct." No, you're doing it because you're cutting off your genitals. You can no longer reproduce. You're sleeping with girls and boys with boys. You can't reproduce. The only way society and people exist is by reproduction. You know that
Uh,
little thing with children? They make
yeah,
children and then children become adults.
yeah. I mean,
Same
yes,
way.
there is, a base biology, like high school biology, like
Well, I mean,
they
judging by
teach you
your
that
name,
you're,
you know the process.
I mean,
Because without that
for kids.
without that rection part, it's really
Yeah.
not happening. I mean, obviously science now, but
Well,
it's
I
just
mean,
not.
if, if you want to do it more than once, you got to find that G spot too.
Well, I don't know if you have to. I mean, monkeys. I don't think monkeys really
Uh,
care about all that part.
but so I have, I have, and this is where I get, the reputation as Jim's liberal friend,
Hmm.
um, because I personally am of the opinion that, um, if science can't prove otherwise, I'm of the opinion that I will give the individual the benefit of the doubt, right? And the general consensus from most same-sex people is they say, "Oh, this isn't a choice. I was born this way." And because science can't disprove otherwise, because there are some people who say, "Oh, well, base biology, will tell you that if you're not able to reproduce, that's counterintuitive. So blah 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 blah. So everything you're doing is a choice." But on the flip side of that, there are people who could make the counter argument for a biological component, saying that the world is overpopulated, and maybe the resurgence of all these same-sex relationships could be Mother Nature's way of cowing reproduction and hindering the overpopulation. Blah blah blah. I don't know. Right? It's all speculation. So when a person from a same sex background says, "Hey, I was born this way," I say, "Okay, science can't disprove that otherwise." So I give them the benefit of the doubt. But where I do kind of draw the line at is in the transgender folks. The ones that say, "Oh, there's 387 different genders." No, there's not, because biology has already proven that point for us. Okay, so your two options are an XX chromosome or an XY chromosome. Now, regardless of what's between your thighs, whether you're an innie or an outie or whatever, you're an XY chromosome set or an XX chromosome set. So if you have your outie turned into an innie, you still don't get to play women's sports because you're just a man with an innie now. You can say, "I feel like a woman and I want to be treated like a woman." Okay, that's fine. I will call you ma'am all day, but you don't need to be out there competing in sporting events with women because you're just a man with a vagina.
Hmm. I'm not gonna address the trends because I think we feel the same way. But I want to go back to what you're saying about the LGBT stuff because I understand where you're coming from, and I can understand how you can make an argument for that. But I think in comparison, do you drink alcohol? Were you born an alcoholic? I mean, do you like these are things that happen to you, so you can easily say yes. But in the end, you still have a choice of your behaviors. Nobody has a choice of their thoughts because you get thoughts in your mind. Would you ever have a thought you want to kill somebody? Well, are you born a murderer? So can you just go kill somebody and say,
No,
"Well,
the
I
army
was born
taught
a
me how to be
murderer"?
a murderer.
Well, right, but you get my point. But my point is that you have plenty of thoughts in your mind, and I look at homosexuality as a struggle, no different than I look at pedophiles and murderers, or even people who cuss or just whatever. All of my problems even are a struggle for me. It doesn't mean I wasn't born with them, but it's a challenge. But the point I'm getting at is the end result is about what? feeling good, so I'm going to act the way I feel because I was born this way? Like if I was born to hate people and treat them like trash, who are you to tell me I'm wrong?
Well, I think the difference there is you know the the other person,
Right, but
right?
where do you get to draw that?
Because
The other person. Like
well,
when does
because
that
you're
matter?
so again, this is an American principle. Okay, so
Mhm.
as an American, you're free to do whatever the hell you want to do whenever the hell you want to do
Agreed.
it, as long as you don't violate one simple stipulation: what you're doing cannot infringe upon the rights of others.
Correct.
Right? So if Adam and Steve want to do whatever they want to do in the privacy of their own bedroom, well,
Okay,
that's their own
see what you
business.
said though, the privacy of their own bedroom. I shouldn't even know you're gay unless I stereotype your, oh, like you make those funny voices. I shouldn't even know you're gay because homosexuality belongs in your bedroom. I don't even think as a heterosexual couple you need to be out there kissing in public, and that is that's something that's, to me, you're putting your sexuality, your business in other people's lives. Now maybe they're not violating, maybe you don't want your kids to see that yet. You know what I mean? So at what point is the line crossed?
I mean,
Do you get to decide or do I get to decide?
I do because I'm more important than you.
Yes, of course. That's my point. So you as a homosexual, right? Sorry, low hanging fruit. I meant
No.
liberal. I meant liberal. I'm sorry. You as a liberal, does your opinion and your standard matter more than mine? So
Well,
like when
no. I
you
mean, well, so I mean, if you come up on a same sex couple banging on a street corner, then yes, arrest
right,
them.
because there's a
But
law against that, whether you're same sex or opposite sex.
yeah, but I
Yes.
mean, beyond that, I mean, I don't think there's really a whole lot of.
Right. So what I'm saying is at the end of the day, how many of your heterosexual friends rub it in your face that they're heterosexual? How many of them
It
fly a
Well, that
flag? How many of
depends.
them stand up and say, I'm proud to be a heterosexual? How many of them do that?
Well, I mean, if there wasn't discriminatory
Well,
treatment,
you say that. You say that. But just because I don't approve of your behavior, now you're calling it discrimination.
no.
If you're an alcoholic, how many
No. Okay.
people
Well,
invite you to their
hang on a
house
sec.
to
How many times in the last, I don't know, 50 years have you gone into a courthouse and been denied a marriage?
a courthouse and denied a marriage?
Hmm.
I didn't go get married in a courthouse.
Well, you
And I
had
don't
to
think
have
a
gone
court.
to a
I don't think
courthouse at some
somebody
point,
could have, yeah, but I don't think they are denied. It's the churches that deny
but
them
they
because
were.
marriage is a
No, no,
church
no, no, no,
institute.
no. The lady in Tennessee, even after it was passed on the federal level, refused to issue marriage certificates to same sex people.
But what you're saying though is her beliefs got in the way because marriage. When you want to talk about marriage, see, marriage is a biblical tradition. It really doesn't matter. The
No,
argument is
no, no. Marriage has been around longer than the Bible. I'm sorry.
what? I don't think
Marriage
the
has.
actual existence of marriage was even a thing. It was a
Oh yeah,
commitment to
yeah, it
another
was.
person.
No, 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 no.
Who? Adam and
It,
Eve?
no,
Oh, they're not
but
the first two people, right? It was the monkeys. The two monkeys got together and said, "Oh, we were married." Right. So the
well,
point
no,
being
no.
is
But I'm saying that there is source documents of people being married that
commitment.
predate.
Yes, their commitment. They're committed to each other, and that's what a marriage is. But in the tradition of marriage through Christianity and all the religion stuff is the display of your vows to the public, saying, "I'm going to hold this." It's a whole ceremony. What the homosexual community is fighting for is not a ceremony. They're fighting for rights that married people get that they don't get. And that I totally agree with. I think if you choose to marry your cousin, you should be able to marry your cousin if you want them on your insurance. I think a commitment that is afforded to any couple should be afforded to every couple. So I'm on board with that. That's my liberal, that's as far as liberal I'm going. But the actual institution of marriage through a ritual, you don't have a right to. You don't get to go to a church who
Oh
doesn't
no,
believe it
no,
and
no. I
make them
completely
marry
agree
you.
with
You
that.
don't get
I
to do that.
completely agree with that.
So if you want to
But I
get
mean, I wouldn't
rights,
I wouldn't go to a Satanist church and insist that they allow my priest to preside over my nuptials.
But that's
I'm
what
not
these people are
saying that.
doing.
No,
They're going into places
what,
and they're challenging people's beliefs and then suing them because that's you've lost the point. At that
yes,
point, you've lost it. It's about equal
I
opportunity.
completely agree. I
Yes.
completely agree. But I'm talking about this woman in the specific case that I'm referring to. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She was an elected official, right? The
Mm-hmm.
magistrate of deeds or whatever it is. Um, and she refused to issue same sex marriage
Right. But
certificates.
what I'm saying, that is not the country. That is not the Christianity. That's not, I mean,
But
that's a
but what I'm
person
saying
enacting
is
their beliefs.
but what I'm saying is that is indicative of the fight that a lot of these folks had to go through in order to
But
get
most
a
people
marriage
don't
license.
care.
Okay. Well, hang on a sec. Well, you're asking why they find it necessary to have parades and stuff. They have parades and stuff because they had to.
Why?
Because
Why do they have to?
the state of North Carolina had it written into their state constitution
Sure,
that the
because we were
definition
founded
of
on
marriage
Christianity. Yes.
was,
Right.
but it's not a Christian nation.
Well, maybe you don't think not anymore. Not anymore. It's not, but it was definitely
It never
founded
was.
as.
No, it was not. Why do you
So all
think
the
the
stuff in
founding
the
fathers instituted a separation of church and state?
right, but they've also got language in there that references God. So which one are we talking about?
Where?
In, what do you mean where? Hell, our Pledge of Allegiance,
Nope, that
our
was added later. Sorry.
oh, because of why? Why was it added later? Because the Christians took over and they were in charge now. Because
No,
that's what
I
they
mean,
believe in. They believe in dominating the country and then being putting their rule. Is that
look,
what it
look.
is? Is that what you're
We've
arguing? That
no,
Christianity took over?
no. We've had this discussion before that the country goes through cyclical
Yes, but
iterations, right?
I
We swing hard left, we swing hard right,
I
we
swing
swing
hard in the
hard
middle.
left. Look, I swing hard in every direction. Okay, like
But what I'm saying is even go back to the previous episodes we did. Look, the default, without a higher power, an unobjectable morality or standard, who sets the rules? If you're an atheist, who determines your behavior, whether it's right or wrong? Even you told me, as long as you're not infringing on somebody else's rights. Why does that matter? Why is that important? Who cares?
because that's in the Constitution.
Well, forget the Constitution because it's not about biblical standards or anything. The Constitution's about what? Some guy just said,
About
"Hey,
America.
you can't stand on my rights." Well, why is that correct? Why is that a rule? Why are you okay with that rule? Because you think arbitrarily that my rights matter? No, why should they matter? What's the standard for that?
Because that's the whole principle of the country is
I
that your rights
understand.
matter.
I understand that. And it's also coincides with biblical concepts.
No, just
No?
because there are parallels, right? I mean,
But where did it come from
A
then?
Buddhist is going to tell you that murder is bad. Does that mean you're a Buddhist because you don't think that you should murder people?
Okay, but my point is, so you're an atheist. So, or if you're an atheist, so then where do
I'm
your
not an
standards
atheist
come
for the
from?
record, by the way,
Well, you're
though.
right. Well, you're not a liberal either. You're not a LGBT, right? Whatever. But anyways, so where do your standards come from? Do you notice how we never even talk about these headlines? Like, what's
Self imposition.
right? Your standards come from you. That's my
Yeah.
point. So on a default, Christianity has a standard that all people you can interpret it, I guess, but they all can go to say this is right or wrong, or it's correct, incorrect, or online with whatever somewhere. They have a standard. If you have no standard like that, central standard, you can make crap up as you go.
I mean, that's what we've done as humanity
Right. So then the standard
forever.
becomes the consensus of the people.
Okay.
Right. So if the consensus of the people was Christianity, well, why wouldn't they add in God? And I would argue that now we're taking that stuff out. People are looting stores and there's no more morality because everyone's standard now is their own greed and need. There's no more borders,
Okay.
boundaries.
Okay. Well, okay. So let's take this back to another piece of the discussion that we were talking about earlier.
I need to
Okay.
do regular shows with you, not war rooms, because we never get through the headlines with you. But I like the conversations. We need to just do topics. Next time you're on, we're just going to pick topics. That's what we're going to
Okay.
do.
All right. Okay.
Because I like
Uh,
this conversation, but we're never going to get to all the headlines.
yeah. No. Okay. Next headline. Go.
All right.
Bam.
Yeah. All right. Economist explains how Google allegedly rigged ad auction bidding to boost prices 15% in antitrust trial.
I mean, that's not surprising. I
No,
mean,
Google's doing a lot of evil stuff. If you know, I didn't even know this. Like, I'm not ignorant and I kind of heard it, but I really didn't believe it. But Google scans all of your email attachments, everything that's in your Gmail,
yep.
Google has access to. And you probably
Hmm.
signed it over, right? Because you didn't read the fine print.
Yeah. No. Nobody does. None of us
Right.
do.
That's insane to me. Why would just like, we talked about the homosexual, why would Google need that access to my stuff? Why would they need
Because
that?
they want to know your innermost secrets.
Right. To sell me ads that are for me? Like, can I just tell you what I like? You know
Well,
what I mean?
well, here's the thing, right? So they tell you it's to sell you targeted ads,
Right.
right? And but it's less about selling you targeted ads as it is selling the ad buyers
Who
on, wow,
you
look
are.
at all this information I have on them,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So, you know, they and again, this is just my personal take on it. You
Well, you're
know,
probably right though.
I don't think that they've got anywhere near the picture of humanity that they have, right? Like when you're getting ads, and they're giving you, ads for butt plugs or whatever. It's, you know, just because you Googled KY jelly doesn't mean that,
Right. It's probably something to do with your subscription.
right.
Right. Right.
Um, but I mean, they're making inferences like that, and and they're pitching this thing to, you know, most of these, small and medium sized businesses, right? Because Walmart's not buying that shit. Walmart's got their own intellectual data gathering stuff, right?
Yeah. That's not a
So,
very impressive one though. You've been to Walmart?
I mean,
Their target market, no offense, Target, is not like Target.
well, I mean, they are vying for the largest retailer on the planet. So,
Not arguing it's not
regardless
effective.
of,
It's just
yeah,
not a high standard.
I mean, the richest people usually don't have the highest
Well, even
standards.
even
Yes,
at this,
Google, we're talking to you.
like even at this, Google, like this is just one of the things they were talking about how Google influences people through their algorithm stuff and even their suggestions when you do a Google search.
Well, I
They're
mean, not only
changing
that, but I
people's
mean,
minds.
when you go and do a search on the internet, we don't even call it a search on the internet
You
anymore. We
Google
say,
it,
I'm going
right?
to go Google it.
Right. Yep. And they decide who's in the top ranking. They
Yeah.
decide what stories they want you to see instead of you actually finding what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we
And
have a bunch of morons in this country who believe that the top searches in Google are actually the only information out there.
well, that's why I use DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, but even that's garbage.
Well, I mean,
You can endorse it. I mean, they're not paying us anything, but
yeah,
you
but they
know,
should be. Give us money, DuckDuckGo.
yes, exactly. And we'll
Yes.
sponsor. We'll say your name a couple more times, right? Duck,
Hell
duck,
yeah,
go.
we'll put it on t-shirts
Beetlejuice,
and
Beetlejuice,
the back.
Beetlejuice. Yeah. So all right. So let's move on. Google sucks. Get out of it if you can, but you can't because it's everywhere. All right. But this is somebody who did get out, and this is Smith and Wesson moves from New England to Tennessee. Not a
Well,
bad move.
no, absolutely not. I mean, look at all the gun regulation going on up in New England. I
Right.
mean,
This is a result of bad policy, or well, I don't want to say bad because it depends what team you're on, right? This is a result of
well,
policy.
no. Any gun law is an infringement, right? Here comes your red friend back out.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
yeah,
I love having red liberals.
any gun law is an infringement. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, I'm not a huge I'm not a huge Smith and Wesson guy. I think all their pistols look the same. Um, but um, I do love a good American firearm.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I mean, but there's people who don't, right? So that's my point. Is like, I guess what I'm saying is this is awesome. This is what companies need to do. We need to self segregate that. What do they call it? A divorce,
Whoa,
a cultural divorce.
yeah.
Well, you're assuming I mean segregate by race.
Well,
No, we
no,
need to
you just
self
look. We don't use the S word, okay?
segregate. Oh, but isn't that an actual thing? Isn't that an actual word?
Yeah, but it's got a
So what's
negative
another word for
connotation
it?
to it
What's a
now.
word for it then? We need to separate
But
based on our
equal?
beliefs. Yeah, people based on our beliefs. So, and that's what needs to happen. Look at like Florida's a perfect example of that. You know what I mean? A lot of Florida's becoming red now instead of purple because people are moving down there because of their beliefs aligned with what's happening. I don't understand California still because there's still Republicans in California and maybe they're just making too much money and refuse to leave. And California is a beautiful state, but I just don't understand that place. But that's what people need to do. They need to get out of these states. And then you got the states like New York, like which is majority red with a big giant city that's blue. I mean, and that's probably most of your states too.
Well, I mean, so I live in one of the great red havens in America, right?
Hmm.
Um, God bless the great state of South Carolina. Um, and you know, we've I don't know, man. Like I, I I'm just I'm I guess I'm too pro gun maybe. Because the everybody says, oh, the school shootings and mass shootings and blah 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 blah. I mean, like people have been killing people in mass for
Exactly. Whatever the weapon is, right?
tens
There's
of
evil out
thousands
there,
of
right?
years. Okay, like you know, yeah, go ahead and outlaw the guns. Let's look at how well that did with the war on drugs. Okay,
Right.
you know, Reagan waged war on pot in 1984, and now it's legal for recreational use in 14 states.
Right.
Okay, making it illegal is not going to help anything. Um, it's it's the dumbest argument ever. I
But
mean,
see, but you need this stuff. Like you talked about South Carolina, your gun. You need to be around people who have the same beliefs because what's happening is people like in New York, um, they're supporting all this nonsense, open borders, stuff like that, and then all of a sudden their taxes go up, crime goes up. They support all that crap, and then they get out of there because it's too dangerous. But they're so stupid they don't realize it's them who created it. Then they move to South Carolina in droves and then they try to turn your place into what they just left.
no, you know what's funny about that?
What's that?
It's because you were talking about California. So I was at a birthday party the other night, and
Oh, you getting
I'm
excited? Go
well,
on, go on.
it
Huge,
always gets huge when I talk about California.
right? Or
Um,
birthday parties.
Only when there's clowns
It's that
involved.
clown thing with the balloons.
Yeah,
Yeah, got it.
yeah.
Got it. Got it.
But anyway, long story short, I'm sitting at a table with 10 people at this birthday party. Okay, and of the 10 people at this table in South Carolina, I was the only person that was not uh, a an import from California.
Hmm.
So 9 of the 10 people at my at this birthday party I'm attending in South Carolina, that was for a man from Alabama. Um, nobody's indigenous,
Right,
but
right, of course.
you know,
But I get that too because I had the same experience in North Carolina when I lived in North Carolina and all the New York, New Jersey people came down. And like I understand, like I'm from Jersey. I get it.
yeah,
But
we
I
hated you
left
people.
Jersey. I left Jersey because I hated those people too.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, yeah, of course, I'm going to bring some of it with me. But in the end, I'm not
Yeah.
going to North Carolina to make it New Jersey because that's why I left. And that's why I left North Carolina because all those asshats from up north came down, started buying, inflating prices, and driving the place into exactly what I left. And they're just too stupid to realize that all they're doing is looking for a clean slate to trash. They're not looking for a different way of life. They're just looking for a cleaner place that they can destroy and have 10 more years of destroying it before they have to pick up and move somewhere else. It's their way of life, it's their beliefs. It's not the location. So it's these people we need to I can't say segregate. We need to find a way to separate people by their beliefs, which we do already, right? You
Mm.
know, churches have churches. You know, you can go hang out at a gay bar like you do. If you're into that stuff, you go there, right? That's what people do. They gather with like minds and stuff. So if we can find a way to have that divorce where we can have states that are belong in these beliefs, these beliefs, these beliefs. That's why
Well,
the
we
federal government needs to stay the hell out of everything.
well we tried that in 1863 and it didn't work out.
Well, yeah, but that was, yeah, I mean, that was probably a little bit primitive thinking, though, too. It was probably primitive thinking. And even then, I would argue that even if you left it alone as it was, it still would have changed.
Hmm.
Like, even if the South had won the war, I think it still would have changed
Oh, absolutely.
because people would have started to realize, like, this is not effective at some point. We just had a loud enough voice saying it, just like how our country is, this is not right. It would have eventually changed. It's
Hmm.
just like Columbus Day we just had recently. I don't care what you think about Columbus. If it wasn't that dirtbag, some other dirtbag would have found this land. So it wouldn't have mattered. The point is, you can hate Columbus all you want, but the idea is whoever found it would have had paved the way for this country to be formed, regardless of what happened. So I guess the point I'm getting at is we evolve as people because that's what we do. So let's evolve by separating into our beliefs. And when people start to crumble, they may change their beliefs and say, well, now I get it. I mean, have you ever changed a belief?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it takes some experience to be like, wow.
Yeah.
So all this time I've been thinking the government's been telling me the truth and they're lying to me. You
Yeah.
know, it takes
Yeah.
that
It only took
experience.
a few years in the army to learn that one.
Right. But see, that's my point. But you got idiots that watch CNN and still think these people are telling them the truth.
Yeah.
They need the experience.
And you know what? I think as a whole, the country would benefit greatly if we adopted a an Israeli sort of format where you just right out of high school, everybody does 2 years of service just
Sure.
automatically. Just
Sure. But that's what I'm saying. So, like that, I don't mean to tie it into something totally different, but that's like the immigration thing. See, I don't have a problem with immigrants. My family's immigrants. My children are half Hispanic, Peruvian. My wife, you know, rest her soul, she was an immigrant. She came legally. But my point is, I don't have a problem with immigrants. But my wife came to this country and learned English. She went to school. She got herself a degree. She got a good job. She paid her taxes. She contributed. She voted. She did these things. You can go right now in New Jersey, the crap hole it is, and you can find communities where people don't even speak English. They don't want to. They don't have to. They don't care. You don't go to a country and just take their money and leave. That's ridiculous. Would you go to Japan and just take advantage of everything they got and not assimilate? Why would Japan accept you? Why would they want you? And that's why
I
these
mean,
countries are closed. Not like America. We're the most open country in the world.
do I get to date one of those cute little anime girls?
Yes, and you have to learn the language because people won't even serve you. I don't know where you went overseas. I don't remember. But I can tell you, I've been places where they won't even speak English to you and they know English because they think you're a bastard, you're a selfish, arrogant prick to come to their country and not learn their language. And I don't blame them.
Well, I mean, I
So,
am a prick,
well, right. But
so
I made every attempt in every country I've been to learn a language. You know, spoke a little bit of German. I spoke a little bit of Swahili. I tried to speak some Macedonian, but they spoke kind of English, didn't they? I don't even remember.
actually, it's a hard C. It's Macedonian.
Yeah, whatever it is. But I mean, everywhere at Cuba, I was learning Spanish. I was trying to pick these, everywhere I've been, I've tried to assimilate. I tried to learn their language and understand their culture. You cannot go to a country expecting to just be you where you came from and think they're going to like it. So why do we put up with that crap? Oh, because diversity is the no. We have a country, we have a standard, we have a way of life. If you don't like the American way of life, stay or go where you like. You don't get to come in here and
Well,
change crap.
but
Change will come over time.
I I agree with that to a certain degree. Okay. Now, when you take again, and I'm going to reference our history here. Um, okay, for example, right? Um, the U.S. involvement in World War One, right? That war was waging for several years before there was any sort of real involvement from the United States, right? And that's because there were Americans with sympathies on both sides of that battleground. Okay, there was something like 500 plus German language newspapers in the United States of America in 1915.
Okay. But I'm not
So,
saying
I
like,
mean,
well, this whole country was
but
founded on immigrants who spoke
right,
their
but I'm
language.
yeah, but I'm saying, the whole concept of people coming to America and still speaking their native tongues is nothing new.
No,
It's
and it's
just
not unnormal, but it's you have to assimilate. That's the word. You have to fit into what you're coming to. Otherwise, the people there are going to feel threatened by you changing their culture. Now, it doesn't matter if you interject some of your culture, right? Who doesn't love to go to a good restaurant from some other country? I love it. I love having that variety. You interject your culture, but how would you like to pull down a road and, well, this sign now is in Spanish and this one's in English and you can't? No, there's a
oh
common
yeah.
culture that we have. You can interject and add to that culture, but you don't get to put yours in place of that.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
All right.
that's that's a distinction.
Good.
You can interject yours, but if you try
Yes.
and replace mine with yours, that's
Right.
where the line is. Right. Okay.
So, like for example, like you're saying, you don't get to just disband Christmas because you want to celebrate Kwanzaa. You celebrate Kwanzaa. You add it to your list. You do whatever you do, but you don't get to tell us we can't do Christmas because it's a whatever. You don't
I
get to
do
do that.
both.
Well, right, and that's see that's the glory of it. You can do both. But the problem is that's not what people are doing. They're coming here with their ideas and their way of life and saying yours is wrong, which I will tell you, our country does all the freaking time, and it makes me sick to go over to a place like these Arab countries and say, no, you need to act like this. You need to. No, they don't. They don't want our crap. So leave it the hell alone. You know what I mean? If they're
Well, hang on a sec. Now, to take this back to our previous discussion, okay, you know, would it be would it be wrong for us to go into, say, I don't know, Saudi Arabia and tell them that, no, it's really not right that your women have to cover their faces or
yes, it's
are not
wrong.
allowed to have a driver's license or
Yes, it's
blah blah
wrong.
blah blah blah.
Yes, it's wrong. Because if those women, and I've been to Saudi Arabia, if those women are not fighting for their own rights, what are we fighting for? We're enforcing our moral values on them.
Because they're scared.
You don't think the people in the Civil War were scared? You don't think the revolution people were scared? If your country isn't worth fighting for, if your freedom isn't worth fighting for, then you live in it. You live in it. And I understand calling the police for help because you can't handle the situation, but you made the call. You didn't have the police just be like, hey, I think that lady's being beat, so let me go over that house and talk to her husband. That doesn't happen. You have
Oh
to
yeah.
have you have to have the fortitude to make the move to get them involved. So you telling me all these women stood up and said, America, we need you to come save us, but yet they don't revolt in their own country. Because what would happen if all the women in Saudi Arabia revolted? The country would go extinct unless
No, it
they
wouldn't.
imported
They
women.
just fuck more goats.
Right, but you can't make babies and goats. You can't
But
have
you can
human
make
beings come out.
kids.
That was awesome, dude. I loved it. That was beautiful. But you get what I'm saying? You cannot repopulate with goats. So my point being is if these women just started revolting, even if they lost their lives for it because your freedom's important, it would show people that you're interested in making a change.
Yeah, no, that's a hard line, man. Because at a certain point, somebody is going to look at all of their, some girl is going to look at all of these women dying and go, you know what? I don't want to die.
How do you know these people aren't having a good life over there? How do you know these women aren't happy? You're just assuming because they don't live our way of life, they're not happy. I mean, I was there, like I was in Saudi Arabia, and I understand the fear aspect of it. But these women were all gathered outside the mosque because they don't go in to pray, and they're in there doing their little chit chats, and maybe their life is better than you think it is. We're just injecting our standard because we can't imagine that. Now, if I were to see a man beating his wife in
Mm,
there, I would know that that's
no,
probably not
no,
comfortable.
no. Say,
No,
see, to me, no, that sounds like a horseshit excuse. That sounds like somebody saying, "Oh no, the slaves are too stupid to want a real life. They're better in servitude. It's really our way of taking care of them." No, that's a horseshit excuse.
so you think that the slave, well, think about it, the slaves never tried to escape, we wouldn't have all these stories if the slaves didn't try to escape and do the things they needed to do. That's probably what got the attention of the people to help them, because they tried to. But I guarantee you there were slaves on that place that were treated really good and
Yeah, they
didn't
were.
care about leaving because they were treated really good.
Yeah, they were named Stephen.
Okay, but they were slaves. So not all slaves wanted to revolt. So if you had another country come over here and look at those two examples, now we can say I'm not making a case for slavery. So stop all your hate already. We can
Jim's the
say,
racist one for the record.
I know Mike used to always say that, right? But we can make a case that somebody else interjecting on behalf of other people without even knowing what these people wanted because of their own moral standards. That's what I'm saying. On the bigger scale, yes, I agree slavery was wrong, and I probably would have made the same assumption. But I guarantee you there were people that were treated really well, just like a battered wife. You know how many times I've responded to a domestic and I'm sitting here, this woman is getting beat by this man, but she knew damn well her life was better being beaten and taken care of, being fed, than it was if she got out on her own.
Horse shit. I don't buy it.
Go ask him, dude. Go ask him. I don't believe it either, and I couldn't believe it, but you go ask him. You know how many times I've seen it? I've seen police officers being jumped by the wife when we arrest the husband because we are taking away her sole provider. Even if he's her abuser, he's her provider. And she gets to determine which one's important.
Just because they're suffering from Stockholm syndrome doesn't mean that they're better off.
Whatever you call it, the point is we are making decisions for her. That's no different than suicide. That's no different than drugs. We're telling people they can't put crap in their bodies. Now, if you want to make the argument she's at a point, Stockholm syndrome, where she's at a point where she can no longer think for herself, we do that all the time, right? We say people are too old, too crazy, too young to make their own decisions because they're not. Then we can have that discussion. But grown ass women in Saudi Arabia can think for themselves. I see it, dude. I seen it. I mean, whatever. Like I'm not opposed. Look, I'm a hero too. I joined the military. I want to go in and save every prostitute off the street. I want to take every woman at a strip club and say you don't need the pole. Do something morally right. I want to do that. But
No,
who am I?
I have the pole they can dance on.
Right, right, right. But who am I to do that? That's my point. Who am I to tell them that what they're doing is wrong and it's going to lead to something bad? Who am I to tell them that?
Yeah, no, I agree with you to a certain extent.
That's all. That's
But
all you have to do. Let's
I
get to the
mean,
last headline before we forget it. Unless you got something to add there. I don't want to cut you off.
no, I'm excited for the next
Oh,
headline.
all right. Scientists behind Pfizer and Moderna mRNA vaccines win Nobel. I guess that's a Nobel Peace Prize. Do they just shorten it for Nobel? Because that was the headline.
Well, I mean, there are several Nobel prizes you can win.
Oh, okay. So maybe they didn't specify which one.
I
Maybe the
mean,
Nobel Prize of Medicine or.
there's Peace Prize, there's chemistry, there's all sorts of.
Okay. So I don't know which one because I didn't read the article. And you probably don't either, do you? But well, you could probably make a guess, right?
I mean, hey, I'm gonna Google it because
Google it. Oh, there you go. Promote Google. I thought you were going to duck, duck, go it.
Well, you know what?
You hypocrite.
I
Such a hypocrite.
I
Oh, you're going to Google it on DuckDuckGo.
yeah, because that
Wow.
has become the
So look, I'm gonna say you have some sort of Stockholm syndrome because you're using a word that doesn't actually exist as a word. So I'm gonna go ahead
see.
and think for you because you really right now can no longer think for yourself.
No, I can't. I need
Exactly. So
someone
let
to
me make
think
decisions
for
for
me.
you. So here's my bank account number. If you just don't mind transferring everything you got, because I don't think you're capable of spending your own money, because
I
you have some Stockholm syndrome. So I'm gonna do it for you. What do you got? Did you look it
thank
up?
you.
Did you look it up or what?
Um.
We're already way over time, but we were
Oh
taking too
yeah.
long for this. So the point is what? Do you think these guys deserve it? I think mRNA stuff is supposed to be game changing.
Well, I mean,
I thought the technology was supposedly really good and intuitive. I
yeah,
don't know if the putting it in a vaccine and giving it to everybody idea was so grand, but I thought mRNA technology was actually a pretty good thing.
yeah. I mean, I, I I think if
You got to use full sentences because nobody can.
yeah, no, I mean, I'm just thinking, if Teddy Roosevelt can win a Nobel Peace Prize for brokering the end to the Russo-Japanese War, then I don't see any reason why Pfizer and Moderna can't get a Nobel Prize for the mRNA
Well, yeah, I
technology
mean, I
stuff.
guess you want to believe though. You want to
Um,
believe this stuff has some merit and value, right? But just like you said, these things are stupid anymore. Nobody watches Grammys and Emmys anymore because they're all a joke now. They've devalued even trophies. You know, everybody gets a trophy. Everybody they just found a way to devalue certain awards.
yeah, but I
This is
mean,
probably the next one.
well, yeah, maybe, but I mean, regardless of how you feel about vaccines,
Yeah, I'm not
um,
even including the vaccine. I'm talking about the
yeah,
technology. Yeah.
I mean, the technology is groundbreaking, and if you pull the whole vaccine angle out of the argument, then yes, they deserve an award
Yeah.
because
Well, that's why that was
it's
my
yeah,
argument. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think
So
that that's a bad thing.
yeah, no, yeah, good on them. I mean, um, I think they probably made. I, I think it's like what, $1 million when you win a Nobel Prize or something.
Oh yeah, because they need more
Um,
money, right?
well, yeah, that's my whole point. Is they probably made that times 350,000 in um, vaccine sales. So I
Right.
mean, yeah, they
Or
get the
or or taxpayer dollars to do the research to create what they needed to create, which
yeah.
probably already existed. So they probably took billions of dollars just to put it in a pill or in a syringe. Hey, look, it fits in this syringe. Problem solved. No, maybe not that extreme. All right. Well,
I mean,
anyways, yeah.
I don't.
Anyways,
Well, look, you and I were in the same house suffering from COVID.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and I had the shots and you didn't, right?
Right. Hmm.
Um, and which one of us felt like teetotal shit for a week and a half, and who sat in their room playing video games, not feeling the least bit sick?
Who you said I did, dude? I was more scared than I was feeling bad. All that stuff was like, oh my God, am I going to die? Am I going to die? Like, that's what the bulk of my COVID experience was. Every sniffle was exaggerated because I felt like I was going to die because of this COVID disease that was going to kill everybody. Yeah, most of that. When I look back at it now, I just want to sit in a recliner all day. I didn't have any symptoms that were really terrible. I mean, did I? I mean, I wasn't that bad. I just looked bad because I thought I was going to die. I literally was
I mean,
believing
you
this
did an
crap.
awful lot of belly aching and whining for somebody that
Yeah, but you haven't seen me with
did.
a regular cold either. You
I
got to
mean,
remember, dude, I've been without a wife for years, man.
okay, that's fair.
Somebody had to be
That's
my
fair.
bitch.
That's fair.
So if I can belly ache and you come down and bring me some soup, whoa, game
Okay,
on,
okay.
bro. Game on.
I mean, That's fair. It's fair.
Oh, that's the erection thing again. Let's get out of here before it gets
Oh,
too carried away. All right. Thanks again for showing up, huge, whatever you are. Huge rection. I don't know what you're called.
Hugh G. Rection.
Got it. Well, I appreciate you showing up again. As always, I hope you come back for more, dude, because these are entertaining. And we will revisit single topic episodes because we can't make it through these headlines with you.
Yeah, no,
But I do enjoy the conversation. I hope the viewers
it's
out there
much
do
too
too.
engorged.
Yes, you guys like, share, subscribe. Even let us know in the comments how you actually feel about this longer format. If we should go to a single topic and do longer format. If I do, maybe I'll just do that. I'll do it with you. Whatever. We'll figure something out. Just give us your opinion. Until then, like, share, subscribe, and give us all your money. And until then, Godspeed.
And pull the pin.
Thanks for joining us here at Pull the Pin Already. We hope you had as much fun as we did. If you like what we do, go ahead and hit that like button and share this video with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. But most importantly, leave a comment below. Let us know if you agree or disagree with our opinions. Hope to see you here next time on Pull the Pin Already.